Section 5 deals with how the residential status will affect on assessee's total income. Section 6 deals with how to determine the residential status of a person. Okay, I repeat once again. Section 6 classified into 4 parts. Part 1, residential status of individual. Part 2, residential status of HUF. Part 3, residential status of companies. Residential status of all other persons. So here one of the important observation, all Indian companies and all local authorities always be treated as residents in India, need not ascertain the residential status for Indian company and the local authorities. Okay, so I will give you once again the information from the beginning. How to ascertain the residential status of an individual based on the conditions specified in section 6 subsection 1, section 6 subsection 6. Basic conditions was specified under section 6 subsection 1. Additional conditions were specified under section 6 subsection 6. Okay. How to ascertain the residential status of HUF based on the place where the control and management was located. Okay. How to ascertain the residential status of companies based on place of effective management. How to ascertain the residential status of all other persons based on the place where the control and management was located. Okay, one of the important point. Next one, section 5. Section 5 deals with how the residential status will affect on assessee's total income. No doubt, residential status must be affected on total income of the assessee. But how it will be affected was discussed in section 5. Section 5 includes 6 different points. Point number 1, if earnings located in India, earnings is nothing but accrued or arise. If accrued or arise in India, then it will be taxable in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the residential status. Even if such amount was received outside India. Receipt irrelevant. Where the earnings located in India, then receipt irrelevant. It will be taxable in the hands of all assessees. Where the receipt was located in India, then earnings irrelevant, almost taxable in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the residential status. If both located outside India, then it will be taxable only to resident and ordinarily resident, not taxable in second case and third case. But here there was an important exception. That is, if both located outside, I will give you another presentation. Just wait. Accrued or arise. Accrued or arise. Or deemed to be accrued or arise. Received or deemed to be received. Taxability. So another way of presentation, I think not necessary to write in your notes, just observe this presentation. Case 1, accrued or arise in India. Receipt also located in India. Then it will be taxable in the hands of all assessees. All is nothing but resident and ordinarily, resident but not ordinary, non-resident. Always taxable in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the residential status. Okay. Next, taxability resident and ordinarily. Resident but not ordinarily and non-resident. Taxable, taxable, taxable. So second point, earnings located in India, receipt located outside India. Here also taxable in all cases. Important point. So case number 3, earnings located outside India, receipt located in India. Here also taxable in all cases. Here the ultimate conclusion is, for taxability of an income in India, it is sufficient to locate at least either earnings or receipt. If any one located in India, it will be taxable automatically in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the residential status. And one more important point, if both located outside India, then it will be taxable only in first case. Taxable, not taxable, not taxable. Okay. So another point is, it's an exceptional point and important point. If both located outside India, plus it's a PGBP income, and the business was controlled from India, then it will be taxable in second case also. Taxable, taxable, not taxable. That's the something different point when compared to previous. Okay. If it is not a PGBP income, then taxable in only first case. If control also located outside India, then also it will be taxable only to first case. One of the important point. So now another important topic, how to ascertain the place of accrual. How to ascertain place of accrual of an income. Because every head of income must have a place of accrual rules. But those rules are not in your syllabus. It's an out of syllabus topic. Every head of income is having a place of accrual. For example, let us take an example. Salary income. How to ascertain the place of accrual of salary? Generally, how to ascertain the place of accrual of salary? Generally, the place where the services were rendered will be treated as place of accrual. The place where the source of income was located is treated as a place of location of accrual. One of the important point, every head of income is having separate place of accrual rules. What is the rule of place of accrual for salary income? The place where the employment was provided by the employee is nothing but the place where the services were rendered. For example, employee working in XYZ Limited and retired at the age of 60 years and now settled in Australia. And receiving pension every month 50,000 rupees. Now tell me, what is the place of accrual of such pension amount? The place of accrual of pension. Yes, it was located in India, where the services were rendered. So here the assessee had rendered the services in India. Therefore, the place of accrual of pension was also located in India. But the place of receipt located outside India. Even in such case, he is liable to pay tax to the Indian government, because earnings located in India, but receipt located outside India. If anyone located in India, then assessee is required to pay tax to the government mandatorily. So one of the important point. How to ascertain the place of accrual of salary? The place where the services were rendered. If services were rendered in India, then the place of accrual also located in India. If services were rendered outside India, then the place of accrual located outside India. And second, how to ascertain the place of accrual of house property? The place where the property was located. The place where the building was located. If building was located in India, then the place of accrual was automatically located in India. Then it will be taxable in India, irrespective of place of receipt of rent. Even if he received the rent outside India, even in such case also is liable to pay tax to the government because the building was located in India. So how to ascertain the place of accrual of capital gain? The asset transferred, the capital asset was transferred, which was located in India. Or the asset belongs to Indian company. It's nothing but Indian company shares or Indian company debentures, so whatever it may be. The asset must be connected to India. Then on transfer of such asset, then the capital gain will be treated as accrued in India. Then he is liable to pay tax automatically irrespective of the place of receipt. So there are a lot of provisions relating to, for example, business. There was a concept relating to business connection, which was discussed in residential status 2, section 9. Then in last exam, there was a problem related to section 9. It's a non-resident section. Okay, just ignore it. We'll discuss later. So now, earnings located in India, receipt also located in India. What is the tax treatment? Taxable in all cases, irrespective of the residential status, whether he is resident and ordinarily, resident but not ordinarily, non-resident. Earnings located in India, receipt located outside India, also taxable in all cases, irrespective of the residential status. Earnings located outside India, receipt located in India, taxable in all cases, irrespective of the residential status. Okay. So if both located outside India, taxable in only first case, that is resident and ordinarily resident, not taxable in the hands of resident but not ordinarily resident, non-resident. So one of the important point. And if both located outside India and the income must be PGBP head of income and the business was controlled from India, here taxability gets attracted in second case also. Nothing but taxable in first two cases, not taxable in third case, that is non-resident. Okay. If the income is exempt from tax under section 10, nothing will be taxable in the hands of all employees. So, and past foreign income brought into India during the current previous year, the question of taxability does not arise because such income is not related to current year. Okay. So one of the important. Section 6 deals with determination of residential status. This section has discussed in 4 parts. Part 1, residential status of individuals. Individual status, how to ascertain the individual status? How to ascertain the status of individual? Based on conditions specified in section 6, subsection 1 and section 6, subsection 6. So one of the important point. Next, how to ascertain the residential status of HUF? So based on place of control and management, based on place of location of control and management. If control and management fully or partly located in India, then it will be treated as resident. If control and management wholly located outside India, then it will be treated as non-resident. Okay, simple. Next, how to ascertain the residential status of a company? That too foreign company. Based on place of effective management. Place of effective management. How to ascertain the residential status of all other persons? All other persons. Based on place of location of control and management. section 6. So the conditions and the presentation, how to apply those conditions, which was already discussed in previous classes. Okay. So now we are going to solve a problem relating to section 5, scope of total income. So please open the material. Problem related to section 5. Problem number 12. So I will give you the details of each and every problem which is relates to. Problem number 1 related to section 6. Problem number 1 relates to section 6, determination of residential status. Section 6 related problem. CRD 1 relates to section 6. CRD 2 also relates to section 6, determination of residential status. CRD 3 also relates to section 6, determination of residential status. CRD 4 also relates to section 6, determination of residential status. Section 5 also relates to section 6. CRD 5 also relates to section 6, ascertainment of residential status. 6 also same, section 6 related problem. Problem number 7 is also same, related to section 6, how to ascertain the residential status. Problem number 8 also same, section 6 related problem. Nine also relates to section 6. Problem number 10, section 5 and 6. Section 6 and section 5. Both the sections were involved in problem number 10. Problem number 11 also, 6 and 5. Both the sections involved, section 6 and section 5. Problem number 12, exclusively section 5. Scope of total income. Thirteen is also related to section 5. Scope of total income. So problem number 12, CRD 12. Determine the taxability of the following incomes in the hands of resident and ordinarily resident. Resident but not ordinarily resident and non-resident. So this problem is required to answer in all three statuses. If assessee is a resident and ordinarily, resident but not ordinarily, and non-resident. Compute his total income in all three statuses. Okay. So point number 1, So I will answer the question. Don't write in your notes because the perfect presentation is available in printed solution. So I will explain point to point. Please check in printed solution whether it is correct or wrong. Okay. Point number 1, interest on UK development bonds. Interest on UK development bonds. Interest on UK development bonds. Tell me place of accrual located in outside India, because the asset relates to foreign country. Therefore, automatically the place of accrual was located outside India. But whereas in case of receipt, 50% received in India. What about remaining 50%? The remaining 50% was received outside India. Now tell me, what is the tax treatment? Earnings point of view, what is the place of accrual of this income? 100% earnings located outside India, because the asset belongs to foreign company, right or wrong? But whereas receipt point of view, 50% received in India, 50% received outside India. What is the treatment? In whose hands this amount will be taxable? So total amount is equal to total amount 10,000. Total amount 10,000. Earnings fully located outside India. Earnings 100% located outside India. Whereas receipt point of view, 5,000 received India, remaining 5,000 received outside India. So what is the treatment of this amount? So amount 5,000, earnings located outside India, receipt located in India. Taxability, how it will be taxable? So taxable in the hands of all assessees. Taxable. Because section 5 says that for taxability of an income in India, it is sufficient to locate either earnings or receipt. If any one located in India, then it will be automatically taxable in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the residential status. So here, the first 5,000 earnings located outside India, but receipt located in India, taxable automatically in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the residential status. But what about remaining 5,000? Remaining 5,000 earnings located outside India, receipt also located outside India, then it will be taxable only in first case. Taxable, not taxable, not taxable. This is the treatment. The ultimate conclusion is, in first case, both the amounts will be taxable. Taxable value in first case, 10,000. Taxable value in second case, 5,000. Taxable value in third case, 5,000. Therefore, the conclusion is 10,000, entire 10,000 will be taxable in the hands of resident and ordinarily resident. Only 5,000 will be taxable in the hands of resident but not ordinarily. Only 5,000 will be taxable in the hands of non-residents. 10,000, 5,000, 5,000. This is the conclusion. How to answer the each and every point? Just simply identify the place of location of earnings and the place of location of receipt. If any one located in India, then what is the treatment? Taxable in all, blindly taxable in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the residential status. If both located outside India, taxable only to first case, that is resident and ordinarily resident, not taxable in remaining two cases. So first one, taxable in first case, 10,000, taxable in second case, 5,000, taxable in third case, 5,000. Point number 1, 10,000, 5,000, 5,000. First case, resident and ordinarily resident. Resident but not ordinarily resident. Third one, not. Have you understood how to answer this question? So, which is very important in examination point of. So, point number 2. Point number 2, income from business in Chennai. Income from business in Chennai. The business was located in India. Therefore, earnings automatically located in India. Therefore, the receipt is irrelevant here. Hence, taxable in all cases, irrespective of the residential status. Because Section 5 says that either earnings or receipt. If any one located in India, then automatically taxable in the hands of all SSAs. Here, the business was located in Chennai. Therefore, the earnings automatically connected with India. So hence, the receipt is irrelevant, taxable in all cases. Taxable, taxable, taxable. That's the answer. Please verify the printed solution. Second point. Taxable in all cases. Because reason the business was located in India. Business was located in India, hence automatically earnings located in India. Then receipt irrelevant. Don't consider the place of receipt. Even if place of receipt located outside India, it will be taxable in the hands of all assessees. It is sufficient to locate only either earnings or receipt. If anyone connected with India, then need not consider the other transactions. Automatically, it will be taxable. Therefore, here the receipt, is it to be considered as irrelevant? Receipt is irrelevant because earnings are already located in India. It will be taxable in the hands of all assessees, even if place of receipt located outside India. Therefore, receipt is irrelevant. So one of the important point. So please verify the printed solution. Point number 2. Point number 1, taxable value 10,000. Write it. 10,000, 5,000, 5,000. Point number 1, 10,000, 5,000, 5,000. Have you understood? Point number 1 is very important. It's a combination point. These type of model points very important examination point of view. What is the answer for second point? Taxable in all cases. 20,000, 20,000, 20,000. Okay. Don't write on your own. Please guess the answer. I will clarify you. After confirmation, write it. Okay. Point number 3. Profit on sale of shares of an Indian company. Shares of an Indian company. Asset related to Indian company. Therefore, automatically the place of accrual located in India. Then receipt irrelevant. Automatically it will be taxable in the hands of all cases, irrespective of the residential status. Therefore, taxable in all cases. 20,000, 20,000, 20,000. 20,000. Okay. Next. Dividends from British company received in London. Dividends from British company. Earnings located outside India. Receipt also located outside. If both earnings, receipts located outside India, then it will be taxable only in the hands of first case, that is resident and ordinary resident, not taxable in second and third case. So amount 5,000, taxable in only first case. 5,000 nil. 5,000 nil. Because the reason is both earnings and receipts located outside India. Therefore, it will be taxable only to the resident and ordinary resident. Next. Profit on sale of plant at Germany. Plant at Germany received in India. Profit on sale of plant at Germany, but 50% received in India. Just like similar to first point. Profit on sale of plant at Germany. Earnings located outside India. Whereas 50% of amount received in India, balance 50% received outside India. Therefore, conclusion is, so for 50% of the amount, earnings outside India, receipt India. The balance 50% of the amount, both earnings, receipts, both located outside India. Therefore, the conclusion is, first case, entire amount will be taxable. 100% taxable in first case, 50% taxable in second and third case. Similar to first point, exact first point. So amount 40,000, 20,000, 20,000. 40,000, 20,000, 20,000. 40,000, 20,000, 20,000. Reason? Tell me the reason. 100% earnings located outside India. 50% receipt in India, 50% receipt outside India. So if receipt in India, if receipt located in India, then it will be taxable automatically in the hands of all assessees irrespective of the residential status. The balance 50%, both earnings, receipts located outside India. It will be taxable only to resident and ordinary resident. So 20,000 amount, half amount will be taxable in all cases. Half amount will be taxable only in first case. So therefore, the conclusion is, in first case, both 20,000 plus 20,000, entire amount will be taxable. But whereas in second and third case, only 20,000 which was received in India is only taxable in second case and third case. So similar to first point. Also put up a star mark, important point. It is a combination point. Next, income earned from business in Germany. Business in Germany. What is the place of location of earnings? Outside India, which is controlled from Delhi. Controlled from Delhi. Also one of the important point. Controlled from Delhi, out of which 40,000 is received in India. What is the treatment? Profit from business in Germany, which is controlled from India, out of which 40,000 is received in India. Here the total amount is 70,000. Total amount 70,000. 70,000 will be classified into two parts, 40,000 and 30,000. 40,000, 30,000. So now tell me, 40,000 earnings located outside India, because the business was located in Germany. Therefore, automatically earnings located outside India. But receipt located in India. Therefore, it will be taxable in the hands of all assessees. Taxable in all cases. Taxable. Because 40,000 amount received in India. So, but what about remaining 30,000? Earnings located outside India. Receipt also located outside India. The head of income is PGBP. The business was controlled from India. Therefore, this will be a special transaction. This will be taxable only in first two cases. Taxable, not taxable. Taxable, not taxable. This is one of the important transactions. Therefore, in first case, both 40,000 and 30,000 will be taxable. Entire 70,000 will be taxable in first case. But what about second case? Yes, in second case also, entire 70,000 will be taxable. But whereas in third case, only 40,000 will be taxable. That is one of the important point. Case 1, 70,000. Case 2, 70,000. Case 3, just 40,000. Have you understood? Important point. 70,000, 70,000, 40,000. Put a star mark, important point in this problem. It's also a combination point. Next, what about next point? Profit from business in Delhi. Profit from business in Delhi. Yes, the business was located in India. Business was located in India. Then the remaining points are irrelevant. Just ignore it and taxable in all cases. Because the earnings located in India. If earnings located in India, then the remaining points shall not be considered. Blindly taxable in all cases. So taxable in all cases. Amount 15, 15, 15,000, 15,000, 15,000. But what about the management from London? But the business was managed from London, is nothing but controlled from outside India. Don't consider the control where the business was located in India. If business was located in India, don't consider the control. Blindly taxable in all cases. Control to be considered only where the business was located outside India. That's a very important point. Foreign businesses, control to be considered only for foreign businesses. If business is located in India, then control is irrelevant. Even if control located outside India, it will be taxable in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the residential status. Control does not consider where the business was located. Control does not consider where the business was located in India. If business was located in India, then blindly taxable in all cases, irrespective of the place of receipt, irrespective of the place of control. Don't consider the control if business was located in India. So control point is very crucial only where the business located outside India. That's one of the important. Okay, next point. Income from property in London. Income from property in London deposited in a bank at London. Deposited in a bank at London, sufficient. Income from property in London, earnings located outside, deposited in a bank at London, automatically the receipt also located outside. It is irrelevant the amount remitted later on. Remittance is irrelevant. Remittance is irrelevant. Don't consider the remittance. Only concentrate on the place of earnings and the place of receipt. Here the place of earnings located outside India. Place of receipt also located, received in London and deposited in a bank at London. Later on, the amount remitted to India. Later on is nothing but not related to past foreign income. The income related to current previous year. Earnings outside India, receipt also outside India. Later on, amount remitted to India through banking channels. Here, remittance is irrelevant. Don't consider the remittance. Please blindly concentrate on only place of location of earnings, place of location of receipt. If both located in India, then it will be taxable only to first case. Amount 3,000. Taxable in only first case, not taxable in other cases. 50,000. Taxable in only. Later on remitted to India is an irrelevant point. Later on remitted to India. It's an irrelevant point. Don't consider. Next, interest on debentures of an Indian company. Debentures related to Indian company. Therefore, the earnings located in India, it will be taxable in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the place of receipt. So therefore, blindly taxable in all cases. Taxable. Amount 4,000, 12,000, 12,000, 12,000. Next, fee for technical services rendered in India. Where the services were rendered? In India. Therefore, the fee accrued in India, automatically it will be taxable in all cases, irrespective of the place of receipt. So taxable in all cases. Amount 8,000. Taxable. So next, profit from business in Bombay. Underline the word Bombay. Profit for business in Bombay. Therefore, the business was located in India. Therefore, automatically earnings connected with India. Hence, it will be taxable in the hands of all assessees, irrespective of the place of receipt. So, taxable in all cases. Amount 26,000. 26,000. 26,000. Taxable in all cases because the earnings located in India. Next, pension from services rendered in India. Services rendered in India. Therefore, the pension will be treated as accrued in India. Hence, automatically taxable in India, irrespective of the place of receipt. Taxable in all cases. Taxable in all cases. Amount 4,000. 4,000. 4,000. 4,000. Next, income from properties situated in Pakistan and received there. Both earnings, receipts located outside India. It will be taxable only in the hands of resident and ordinary resident. Not taxable in second case, not taxable in third case. Taxable in only first case. Amount 16,000. Both earnings, receipts located outside India. Not taxable, not taxable. Next, past foreign untaxed income brought into India during the previous year. What is the treatment of this point? Not taxable in all cases. Not taxable, not taxable, not taxable. Because the income not relates to current previous year. It relates to past years. This is also one of the important point. Please select some important points. So at the time of preparation, please concentrate on those points which were selected. So complicated points. I think it is better to select management entirely from London. Point also one of the important points. Control to be considered only where the business was located outside India. That is foreign businesses. If the business located in India, then control does not consider irrelevant. Even if control located outside India, the income will be taxable in the hands of all assessees. So that's one of the important point. Next, income from agricultural land in Nepal. Agricultural land in Nepal. Is it foreign agricultural or domestic agricultural? Foreign agriculture. No doubt foreign agricultural income will be taxable in India under the head income from other sources. So Nepal received there. So both earnings, receipts located outside India. Taxable in the only first case. Amount 18,000. Later on brought into India is irrelevant. Later on is nothing but during the current previous year. It's not related to past year's income. So income related to current previous year. Earnings outside India, receipt also outside India. Later on amount during the current previous year remitted to India. Remittance is irrelevant. Where the earnings, receipts located outside India, then it will be taxable in the hands of only first case, resident and ordinary resident. Later on brought into India is irrelevant. Then brought into India. If it is foreign income, if it is past year's income, then not taxable in all cases. But this income is not related to past years, only current year income. Both earnings, receipts located outside India. So immediately the amount remitted to India. Remittance irrelevant. Only concentrate blindly on place of accrual and place of receipt. That's it. This important point. Next, income from profession in Kenya. Profession in Kenya. The profession was located in Kenya, outside India, which was set up in India. Received there, but spent in India. Spent in India is irrelevant. Receipt, only concentrate only up to the transaction of receipt. So here earnings located outside India. Receipt also located outside India. Head of income, PGBP. Profession was set up in India. Taxable in only two cases. First two cases point, important point. First two cases, amount 5,000. The combination point. Earnings located outside India. How to ascertain the earnings place of earnings? How to ascertain the place of earnings? How to know the place of earnings? Where the source of income was located. Here the business is a source of income. The business was located in Kenya. Automatically the earnings located outside India. How to ascertain the place of earnings? How to know the place of earnings? The place where the source of income was located. What is the source of income for salary? Place of employment. Place of employment. What is the source of income for house property? Place of location of house property. What is the source of income for what is the source of income for capital gain? The place where the capital asset was located. Capital asset was located. Or the place where the capital asset belongs to. There's nothing but Indian company shares, Indian company debentures, whatever it may be. So every head of income is having a separate place of accrual. So how to ascertain the place of accrual? Generally, the place of accrual shall be ascertained based on the place where the source of income was located. What is the source of income for salary? Employment. Source of income from house property? Place of property was located. Source of income for capital gain? The place of location of capital asset. For each head of income is having a separate place of source of incomes. We'll discuss later in residential status too. Okay. Next point. Gift received on the occasion of his wedding. Gift received on the occasion of his wedding. Gift received on the occasion of his wedding. It's an exempted income. It will be discussed. It will be discussed in income from other sources chapter. Gifts received on the occasion of marriage will be completely exempt from tax. It's an exempted income. Therefore, not taxable in all cases. Gifts received on the occasion of marriage. Not taxable in all cases. Not taxable. If gift received on the occasion of wedding anniversary, then it will be taxable. The exemption is available only a gift received on the occasion of marriage, not on the occasion of anniversary. For example, instead of marriage, so they have to give wedding anniversary, then automatically it will be taxable in the hands of all assessors because earnings located in India. So important point. Next. Interest on savings bank deposit in State Bank of India. Interest from State Bank of India. Where the place of location of earnings? Yes, interest accrued from State Bank of India. That is accrual located in India. Therefore, taxable in all cases. But here is one of the important point. Savings bank interest will be eligible for deduction under section 80 TTA up to 10,000 rupees. Here chapter 6 year deduction is available to this point. So write in brackets 80 TTA deduction available up to 10,000 rupees. 80 TTA deduction available up to 10,000 rupees. So here the place of accrual located in India. Therefore, taxable in all cases. But there was a deduction under section 80 TTA up to 10,000. But deduction shall be reduced from gross total income. So just wait. Next. Income from business in Russia. Controlled from Russia. Earnings located outside India because the business was located outside India. Receipt also located outside India. The control also located outside India. If control located in India, then it will be taxable in 2 cases. But here the control also located outside India. Therefore, taxable in only first case. One more important point. Taxable in only first case. Taxable. So, sorry, interest on savings bank account amount 12,000. 12,000. Taxable in all cases. 12,000. Next, income from business in Russia. Controlled from Russia. Taxable in only first case. Amount 20,000. Not taxable in second case and third case. Because both earnings and receipts located outside India, control also located outside India. If it was controlled from India, then taxable in second case also. But here the control also located outside India. Taxable in only first case. Next one. Next point. Dividends from Reliance Petroleum Limited. Reliance Petroleum Limited. Domestic dividends or foreign dividends? Domestic dividends. So anyway, at present, dividends always be taxable under the head income from other sources, irrespective whether it is related to domestic or foreign. Both the dividends will be taxable. But Finance Act 2020 amendment, earlier there was a different treatment. Domestic dividends will be exempt in the hands of shareholders. Foreign dividends are only taxable in the hands of shareholders because the company is liable to pay dividend distribution tax. So in Finance Act 2020, dividend distribution tax concept was removed by the government. Therefore, now the dividends, either domestic dividends or foreign dividends, will be taxable in the hands of shareholders now. There is no difference between domestic and foreign. So what is the old provision relating to dividends? Foreign dividends are only taxable in the hands of shareholders. Domestic dividends are exempt under section 10 subsection 34. Because the reason is, in case of domestic dividends, at the time of distribution of dividends, the company is liable to pay dividend distribution tax. Hence, automatically the domestic dividends are exempt in the hands of shareholders. That's the old provision. But there was an amendment in Finance Act 2020, that is, now the domestic dividends also taxable in the hands of shareholder, just like foreign dividends. So now present provision is both domestic dividends, foreign dividends, now taxable in the hands of shareholders. Okay. So now tell me, is it taxable or not? Yes, taxable. But the dividends declared by Indian company. Therefore, the earnings located in India. Hence, taxable in all cases. Amount of dividends 5,000. Taxable in all cases. 5,000. 5,000. 5,000. Next, agricultural income from land in Rajasthan. Is it domestic agricultural or foreign agricultural? Domestic agricultural, because the agricultural land was located in India. Hence, automatically it will be treated as domestic agricultural. Domestic agricultural income is exempt under section 10 subsection 1. Exempted income. Exempt under section 10 subsection 1. It's an exempted income. Therefore, not taxable in all cases. Not taxable. It's an exempted income. Have you understood? So, gross total income. 3,56,000. Next one. 2,22,000. Next one. 1,87,000. Minus chapter 6 year deduction under section 80 TTA up to 10,000. 10,000. 10,000. Therefore, net income is equal to 3,46,000, 2,12,000, 1,77,000. Section 5 is one of the important model in examination point of. There was a 10 marks problem in earlier exam. Last but one exam. 10 marks problem from section 5. So examination point of view, most important. Tell me once again, earnings located in India, receipt located outside India. Taxable in all cases. Earnings located outside India, receipt located in India. Taxable in all cases. Tell me the conclusion from these 2 points. For taxability of an income in India, it is sufficient to locate either earnings or receipt, anyone in India. Need not locate both earnings receipts in India. At least one transaction was connected with India, then automatically it will be taxable in the hands of all assessors, irrespective of the residential status. So what about if both earnings receipts located outside India? Both located outside India, then it will be taxable only in the hands of resident and ordinarily resident, not taxable in second and third case. Important point. Okay. So if both located outside India and the income must be a PGBP income and the controlled from India, it will be taxable in first case and second case. Third case is not covered under this transaction. Okay. So if it is an exempted income under section 10, not taxable in all cases. If it is past foreign income, not taxable in all. Past foreign income is nothing but incomes relating to earlier years, not related to current year. Earlier years income will not be taxable in the year of remittance to India. One of the important point. So, and most important concept here is combination point. Combination points, there are a lot of combination points. So interest on gifts received on the occasion of marriage, what is the treatment? Not taxable. It will be discussed under the head income from other sources. It's an exempted gift, therefore not taxable in all cases. Agricultural income from land located in India. Land located in India, it's a domestic agricultural exempt under section 10(1). If agricultural income received from land located outside India, it's a foreign agricultural income, therefore automatically taxability gets attracted. So if agricultural point, compulsory identify whether it is domestic agricultural or foreign agricultural. How to identify whether it is domestic or foreign? The place of location of agricultural land, one of the important points. So dividends declared by domestic company, taxable. Dividends declared by foreign company, taxable. Earlier it was dividends declared by foreign company is only taxable in the hands of shareholders. Domestic dividends will not be taxable in the hands of shareholders. There was an exemption under section 1034. In Finance Act 2020, 1034 section was removed. Now the domestic dividends not eligible for exemption in the hands of shareholders. Therefore, now the shareholders are liable to pay tax on dividends even declared by domestic company also. So one of the important amendment in 2020. So compulsory, we'll discuss about the dividends concept in income from other sources said clearly. Okay. So thank you all of you.